Artillery is the great equalizer, a thunderous bombardment that can shake the battlefield and your enemy's morale, but if you're not careful, it can also shake your own squad's morale. Welcome to Foxhole's artillery tutorial. Today, I'm going to show you how to rain destruction on your enemies instead of your friends. Hopefully. Artillery isn't just a weapon, it's a responsibility on the battlefront, so buckle up, grab your binoculars, and let's make sure your next barrage actually finds its target. To start with, let's do a quick rundown of what artillery is. The goal of artillery is to destroy structures and deny infantry. What I mean by that is a large round is hitting the ground and keeping infantry out of certain areas or actually eliminating the infantry altogether. Then destroying structures. Artillery has the unique ability to hit things from very, very far away, out of range of most defenses. With this information, you can destroy bunker bases and well-defended areas before armor and infantry can push up. One Arty gun can completely change the way a front works. If you are able to destroy those defenses ahead of the armor and infantry, they can push up freely and do all of the damage possible. I would recommend 3 people per gun and you can just have 1 spotter. Speaking of spotters, there's a handful of positions. The spotter that I just mentioned will be closer to the front line with a pair of binoculars and a radio. Your spotter is also your targeter. They will be on the front with the binoculars, finding high value targets and using a third-party website to find your distance and azimuth. Now you are going to need 2 people on the gun when you are targeting. One person to change the azimuth or the angle, and the other one to change the range of the gun. These 2 people also have other positions. When they are not changing the gun's azimuth and range to find a target, they are the loader and the gunner. One of them will stay on the gun and choose when the cannon fires, and the other one will be loading the artillery shells into the gun. Let's run down the steps of artillery. I have 6 steps for artillery. I'm going to make it very, very simple. That way everybody can understand. By the end of this, you should be able to run a gun with you and your buddies or you and a couple randoms just fine. Step 1. Supply the gun and shells. There's a couple ways to do this. Artillery cannons and shells can usually be found in nearby seaports or storage depots. If you're going to supply them yourself, the artillery guns are created on a construction yard in most major towns. The artillery shells can be made in factories, mass production factories, but personally, the way I do it is through a large shell factory at my base. My regiment runs this, and the ratio to heavy explosive powder and construction materials I prefer over the cost of heavy explosive powder and B-mats that you find at the factory and mass production factory. Once you have those, go ahead and throw your shells on a pallet and your gun on a flatbed, then move the pallet to a flatbed and you have 2 trucks loaded with a cannon and shells and you are ready to move to the front. Now moving to the front is a more dangerous step than you can imagine. Partisans are huge threats to your truck. Flatbeds move very, very slow, even when fueled by petrol. Pay attention to your map posts for sure. Alright, so your next step is going to be the setup of your artillery. I'm going to show you a quick little build. I'm going to show you kind of the level 1 and level 2 to this. There's 2 different ways you can do it, and I'll explain each one of them as we go. So your first step is going to be a hex. You're going to press B. You're going to need a shovel to do this. So your trench emplacement tier 1. You're going to need a shovel to do this, and coincidentally, you're going to need to click on the shovel icon and then find your trench emplacement tier 1. Like I said, you need a shovel. Actually, you need it equipped, not like me. Do as I say, not as I do, guys. Do as I say, not as I do. Go ahead and excavate this completely. All right, we have just a few more, and here we go. This is a... Wait. This isn't a hex. This is an octagon. I lied to you guys once again. Regardless, yes, this is your emplacement. So you would then have a crane, which you would drop down. I'm going to show you guys a clip of that real quick. So like I said earlier, this is your level 1 emplacement. As you can see, we have the octagon in the top left. This has no trench connectors or bunkers like you would have in a level 2 emplacement. And then we also have the 2 exposed pallets of ammunition, and we will be dropping the gun into the octagon, and you can fire just from there with one guy loading from the pallets on the surface and then the gun within the emplacement. Now, like I said, you have a level 1 and a level 2 version of these. Level 1 would be just this: drop your gun and load your pallets to the side like you saw in that clip. Now, level 2 is going to be a bunker, and you go ahead and you build this bunker off of one of these flat surfaces here that you can connect them with a trench connector. So we're going to go ahead and excavate this and then also excavate a trench connector. All right, so we are almost done with the tier 1 bunker base. Boom. All right, now we're going to go down here to the trench connector. So trench with this little slash through it. Click on one side of your thing. Even it's red, as you guys can see, this is red, area obstructed. But if I click it, it then turns yellow. It knows where I want to go with it. And I click again and boom, there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and excavate this. Okay, with that excavated, you now have an emplacement, a trench connector, and a tier 1 bunker. So if we want to go ahead and upgrade our bunker to tier 2, what we're going to do is have basic materials. You're going to need about 70 and our hammer equipped. We're going to press F to go into upgrade mode with our hammer equipped here. Go right up against the bunker base. You'll see this little icon pop up. Press E. And we're going to go ahead and upgrade to bunker tier 2. It's just this first one right here. I guess you need 75, not 70. So this is bunker tier 2 being upgraded now. As you can see, doesn't look that different, right? So we're going to go ahead and go back into upgrade mode by pressing F if you're not in it, but you should see this hammer icon. Press E to upgrade it. And with this, you can now do the storage room tier 2. Now, pay attention. If you look right here, you can see that there is something rotated within the bunker. That is your shelf. You want that facing away from the entrance. So with it facing away the entrance right here, I can go ahead and left click. Now I have a couple basic materials left. It's not enough to finish it. I'm going to go grab some more, but we're going to go ahead and finish this and I'm going to show you the rest of it. Here we go. So now this is our storage room. You can see the shelf behind it and you may wonder, well, how the hell do I get in there? Let me show you. You're going to go back into upgrade mode. I promise you, this is it, right? So go ahead and press E and we're going to upgrade to a doorway. We're going to go ahead and click that. Oop. First of all, we're going to get out of the way before we click it. There we go. You're going to see modifying structure. Boom. There you go. So this is what I would call like a level 2 artillery emplacement. If you plan on being somewhere for a long time, or if you are getting shelled, this is the way to go. Does it take a lot of time to put up? Not with a whole lot of players, it really doesn't. With one person, yeah, it's been about 15 minutes of me sitting here. The benefits to this is if you drop a pallet here and that pallet gets shelled, you then lose all the ammunition that was on that pallet. But if you dropped a pallet here and you jumped up, went over to the pallet, pressed V to quick grab, ran back in here with the one shell, pressed V to use the storage room and drop it on this shelf, that is protected from shells. That's protected from grenades, gunshots, tank rounds. They would have to blow up this bunker to destroy your ammunition, right? So you can hold 100 artillery shells, which is awesome. It's almost a pallet for 120 millimeter. I think that's 120 per pallet. So that's definitely the way to go about it if you are planning on staying somewhere for a while, or if you are under heavy fire. I definitely recommend this version. I recommend setting a squad map post directly on the gun on the map. The reason for this is I can't tell you how many times I ran up to the front and then I was sitting there looking at a target and I was like, dude, I don't know where my gun is at. I'm gonna have to run back and find it. That way I can use this third-party website to target. And that's never a good thing. I recommend setting a squad post down. That way you can see it when you open your map. Also, don't forget defenses. Build some machine gun and AT pillboxes around you. 2 or 3 is just fine. Most 120 guns aren't very expensive. They are kind of expendable, but you can do a ton of damage with them. They are glass cannons. They don't cost a lot of resources. So feel free to just build 2 machine gun pillboxes and call it good. Okay, so next we are talking about the spotter position specifically. This is the most important position in the entire crew. As a spotter, you are going to be finding the target and telling the azimuth and range. The way you find that is a third-party website. So I'd highly recommend having 2 or more monitors to run this. You cannot run it on a phone. So a laptop or something, 2 monitors, it's going to make it so much easier. Foxhole is a horrendous game to tab out of. I do not know why it's such a pain in the tail. So this is me after the recording and most of the editing. I actually found out just recently that you can change your full screen to a windowed full screen, and you can avoid all of the issues of clicking off of Foxhole to access the website. So in the video, we are firing here at the Deadlands. So if we hold Control and scroll wheel down, we can actually zoom in right here. And if you hold Control and left click, you can pull yourself around the map. There's a couple really cool things that I definitely recommend checking out. First of all, the advanced features. Go ahead and click that. You can choose what weapon you are using. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you a regular. So we were about here and we were shelling right over here. As you can see, that's just 2 dots. It gives you the distance and the degrees, or the azimuth right here. So distance and azimuth. Azimuth is degrees. So that is what you would need, right? But if you go into the advanced features and you select your weapon, in the video we are using a Huber Lariat 120mm cannon. Click that. You see how that changed? This is the dashed line is your minimum distance. You can't hit anything within this range. Next is this solid line all the way around. This solid line is your max range. This doesn't account for wind, which we're going to talk about in just a second. Now, if you see right here where I click, the red dot is where you're shelling, the black dot is your gun. So if I zoom in here to the red dot, there's a couple bits of information here. First of all, this is your target. This is the middle of your target. You will not hit the middle of your target the way you want. I promise you, artillery guns are super inaccurate, but this black dashed ring around it shows you your entire target radius. You will put shells within this circle all over. It will never be in the same place unless it's super lucky, but you will shell this general area. Now, like I said, wind can change that. I know this is a little bit grainy to look at, but these are the levels of wind. You have 5 levels of wind. You can find that on any AI structure, bunker base, or so on. You can also use a wind sock. Now, the direction of your wind matters a lot more than the speed. I have found that 10 to 15 yards is about the furthest I'm off when it comes to speed. But the direction will completely change where your artillery shells land, so definitely pay attention to that as a spotter. Setting a wind sock up by your gun can also let your guys know, hey, it's getting really windy, and they are not in binoculars looking at targets, so they can give you a heads up, hey, the direction of the wind just changed. But like I said, you should have pillboxes around you, so you will see these flags. And when you're targeting enemy structures, you will see these flags all over their AI and their bunker bases. So just pay attention to this. The wind will pick up your artillery shell and move it. The longer the range is, the more it's affected. When you pay attention to which way these flags are moving, and if you look at these pictures, I'd know my shell in 5 is moving directly east. I know my shell in 1 and 2 is moving east-northeast. So I can change my calculations on my artillery map, and if that was the case, we would reset right here, zoom back in. I know where my gun's at because I put my map post down. Pay attention to that. And if I'm wanting to shell, let's say right here, let's say this little 3-way intersection right here. If I'm wanting to shell here, and my shells are moving northeast due to the wind, so north and east, I'm going to target probably right here. So the reason why I did this, let me explain this to you, is if I shoot and there's 0 wind, my rounds are going to land here. Now if I shoot here and there's wind northeast, and let's say it's level 3, so it's going to push it 10-15 yards. I shoot, my shell will not land here, but it will land northeast about 15-20 yards. It's going to land in that intersection. This takes time. This takes a lot of time to figure this out. And I understand it's very complicated, but I promise you, it is so easy once you start going. Once you shell out your first few shells, you got it. Like, you got it figured out. Triangulation in this game is kind of the hardest part. So now we've gone over the triangulation, we've gone over the wind. I also want to say real quick that when I start an operation, this is kind of how we do it. We do the setup, we get the shells loaded into the shelf if we have one. I then run up to the front, I get my targets, my high value targets, bunker bases, relic bases, town bases, artillery emplacements, parked vehicles, stuff like that, trenches with a ton of infantry in them. I find my high value targets, I go ahead and I do my spot, and let's say I have this in front of me here, I would then swap to the game and I would say, okay, gun 1 or gun 2 or however many guns I got, are you ready to fire? And they're going to say yes. I'm going to tell them, give me 3 rounds, let me know every time you shoot. So they would go, I'm shooting, boom. I watch the first one land. I say, hey, that's a good hit, give me another one. Boom. Watch the second one land. Also good hit. I know my triangulation, my radius is perfect. Exactly where I wanted to hit. And then I tell my artillery, and this is where a lot of Foxhole people kind of get this wrong. I don't know why when they're targeting, people say fire for effect. Fire for effect does not mean I'm trying to find my artillery shells on the field. Fire for effect means wreck everything in this general area. Do not stop firing until we reach the desired effect. When you watch other tutorials and they say fire for effect and they're trying to triangulate, that's not correct. There's a lot of really good creators out there, but they happen to get that one thing wrong. So I tell them, give me 3 shells. I'm trying to find my target. Boom, boom, boom. I'm in my radius. I'm good to go. Fire for effect, all guns. They are now firing and this area is getting destroyed. That is how you want it. That is how you operate a artillery operation. So I really hope you got everything you needed from this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. I promise you, myself or somebody else who knows the game will reply to you in the comments. If you want to join our Discord or join the regiment, down below is a link tree. You can find a lot of my socials, a spread shop, and the Legion Discord down below. So go check that out if you are interested in joining the community. Speaking of community, we are growing so fast. I think I have like 2,870 of you guys that have subscribed to the channel. We have like 50, 60 people in the Discord. It's so awesome. I really, really appreciate you guys. You guys have put so much effort into coming to watch these videos and leaving comments and supporting me, and I cannot thank you enough. And thank you guys to the people who have joined the Discord and joined the regiment and been very active members. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how awesome that is. So, like I said, I hope you learned something. I hope you got something from this video. Leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Leave a like, subscribe, and subscribe to the channel. Helps me out a ton. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.